So what we're thinking about today is, because we've really enjoyed hearing the comments from everyone who've been telling us that some people have said Crash Bandicoot was the first game they ever played. Sorry, to be specific, Crash Twinsanity was the first game they ever played. We were reminiscing about the first games we ever played, the first games we ever bought or owned, and we thought it might be interesting to go through it to maybe compare how things were when back 20 years before Crash Twinsanity, and see how things were. So we thought it would be interesting to go from there, talk about our journey into what ended up with us getting jobs in video games and coming to work on Crash Twinsanity. So we thought we'd start with my colleague, Mr. Keith Webb.
Hello.
So Keith, why don't you tell us about the first game you ever played?
Right, so what I remember I didn't own this game, but it was probably the first one that I played around a friend's house. He had an Amstrad, which is a kind of 8-bit computer in the UK, and the first game I remember playing was Treasure Island Dizzy.
Welcome to Treasure Island Dizzy.
So Treasure Island Dizzy, a fine choice.
Indeed.
I too played this game back in the day.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a bit about it?
Okay, so Treasure Island Dizzy is like Resident Evil. No, seriously, it's like Resident Evil. Yeah. In terms of the managing your inventory, using things in specific places. I played Resident. It's nothing like Resident Evil, but in some way it is like Resident Evil.
Shall I give a brief overview?
Yeah, go for it.
It was a very famous mascot platform adventure game in the mid to late 80s in the UK. Like, if you were our age and you were into games, you definitely would have heard of Dizzy. It was, a bit like a platform game, but
so you were
saying...
He was an egg, and he kind of did this little movement, and he jumped, he did a little spinny jump, but there were many games by Codemasters, by the Oliver twins, who did a series of maybe about 5 or 6 games starring him, and there is some elements of the gameplay of the Resident Evil using items in specific spots. I think there's some connection there. But in terms of the game, very simple game, very simple 8-bit game, using items in certain locations.
It was extremely difficult, wasn't it?
It was. If you didn't know what you're doing, you had one life. He had one life, and the reason why is because there was a bug in the game that the developers worked out that if you had more than one life, you could get trapped. You wouldn't be able to progress, so they had to, in order to overcome that.
Was there something to do with the scuba
snorkel?
mask?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you could pick up a snorkel, and that enabled you to go underwater.
Yeah.
But if you drop the snorkel under the water,
then there's no way you could ever
then
get it
you
again.
die and you respawn out of the water. You wouldn't be able to get the snorkel again.
Yeah.
So
they decided to give you one life, which made it extra difficult.
Terribly difficult.
Yeah. But anyway, so I played that around a friend's house, and this is probably when I was maybe 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, and me and my friend did write. We were inspired so much that we wrote to Codemasters with our idea for a new Dizzy game. And if I have the letter, I'll kind of put it up on here. And they wrote back, and this is their reply. But curious enough, in our idea for a new Dizzy game, we had a Dizzy with a little wizard's hat on. And then a few months later, they released a game called Magic Land Dizzy. So sure, it's just coincidence, but interesting nonetheless.
I think you should sue.
Yeah. So I've got the letter anyway. If I do have it, I've put it up here. So that was the first game I played.
Why don't you tell us about the first game you ever
First
owned?
game I owned. So which has inspired me a lot in terms of my gaming aesthetics. When I was about maybe 10 years old, got the Amiga, the Batman Amiga pack.
Lucky boy having an Amiga.
Sure. So that was good. Came with Batman. Interceptor game, Deluxe Paint as well, which actually helped me with the pixel art stuff later. So that was a good package to use in terms of the pixel art, digital artwork. But New Zealand Story, it came with New Zealand Story, a game by Taito, here ported by Ocean. Taito, Japanese company, arcade company known for Space Invaders primarily, and Bubble Bobble, Rainbow Islands, Parasol Stars, and the other one, which hasn't been released yet. And then so we also have the kind of cutie aesthetic there, and this is where the inspiration Rusty Walrus came from, which I've mentioned before. He's the primary antagonist in this game as a walrus, a blue walrus. But the gameplay, I love the kind of the cute but also deceivingly cute but also quite difficult game in terms of just the maze-like mechanics of it. So the Amiga version, I had that, and that has actually inspired me for any pixel-based arcade stuff that I worked on since. So yeah, great. I want to play some footage quickly here.
Who is this guy?
So remember when I was around 11, 12 years old, a TV show called Tiny Toon Adventures came on. Tiny Toons was a Warner Brothers cartoon, which was a tribute to the old Looney Tunes cartoons, but had their kind of descendants or smaller versions of them. And I was inspired by a specific episode called where the characters go to a place called Wacky Land, and this character here is called Go Go Dodo, and he inspired me to create a little bit of animation myself, which I submitted to a Saturday morning TV show called Motormouth, which we had on here.
Very popular for our generation in the UK.
Because we only had 4 channels back then. So on Saturday morning you had a choice of 2 TV shows to watch, and this was one of them. So let's see that. I submitted it, and I got called back at the very final episode, invited on to display my animations. So let's watch it now.
The winner of the weirdest animator category is Keith Webb, and he wins our special Mummy I'm Frightened award with his Wacko the Hammerhead Bird.
Strange
and
stuff.
Here it is. Very strange. And just when you thought it was safe to go back bird watching again, Wacko is back in the return of Wacko 2. Very wacky. Keith Webb!
Congratulations, you're a strange child, but never mind. There you go. There's your certificate. Well done.
Right.
Can I just say for our American viewers, if you're our age and you lived in the UK, those 3 presenters are extremely famous.
Yeah.
So
Neil Buchanan is now known as Banksy. Yep, the artist Banksy.
is he?
Yeah, Andy Crane was on Bad Influence, kind of retro video game show as well after that. So yeah,
What about Gabby Rosalind?
Gabby Rosalind, she's doing stuff.
She was in the Big Breakfast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they're all quite famous TV presenters. Yeah, but so that was my claim to fame back then.
I'd say it's a claim to fame
Right
today
now,
as well.
Yeah, the highlight of my career. Everything's been downhill from then on.
So what did you get up to
So
next?
yes, after that I went to university, obviously a few years later, and of course doing digital animation. This was around the time when maybe Toy Story, maybe Monsters Inc. started to come out, so everything was going from 2D animation to digital, and so it was quite easy to get onto a CGI course, which I did. Worked with a couple of people in that course. One of my friends, Chris, who I later worked with on Twinsanity, and another guy called Simon, and we put together a little animation, again utilising that same Wacko character, Wacko the Hammerhead Bird, that you just saw in the previous clip. So here's that. But the CGI stuff, I mean, I always loved the 2D stuff, and so I focused more during that course on the storyboard aspect, in terms of working in teams doing the storyboards, and there's just a couple of examples of storyboards. And then So we then transitioned to, a few years later, I do some mobile phone kind of pixel-based picture messaging artwork for a company that did mobile phone cartoons of Garfield. Do you remember Garfield?
I do remember Garfield.
Yeah, right. Do you remember in the cartoon how he'd sometimes communicate, but he wouldn't move his mouth? Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember that.
Okay. Just like this, John.
That was amazing.
Wow.
How
Cool.
did you do that?
Okay, magic. Wow, magic.
You must be full of Garfield DNA.
That's right, yeah, Garfield DNA. Speaking of Garfield DNA, orange marsupials, because cats are marsupials, then we transitioned to Crash Twinsanity. And how I got this role is because I mentioned Chris before from the course, the university animation course.
I know that game.
Yeah, he was already working at Travis Tales. They needed a storyboard artist for their cutscenes because they were just moving into the Twinsanity era of the game. And he obviously remembered me from a couple of years back at university doing these storyboards, so he recommended me. Came along for an interview at the company, and how it was set out. You remember you had the big 2 rooms and then a meeting room at the back. At that stage, the producers from Universal had just come over, so they were using the meeting room as their office. So I couldn't have my interview there, so I just had it at the pizza place round the corner.
I remember that pizza place well.
Yeah, so there, and then a bit of a chat out in the car park with Steve Riding, our studio manager. And they must have liked what they'd seen because I got the job, or they were just hiring anybody they could find, you know.
Well, they hired me. God knows what they're up to.
Sure.
Can we just? I only just realised this.
Yeah, right.
We're showing you here the NTSC version of the Twinsanity artwork. Can you just hold up this is the PAL release. Look how much worse it is. They've obviously got someone to go over it in Photoshop, and they've made it look worse. I did not realise that until earlier today. So, Keith, what is this all about? You never worked on Zelda.
I didn't work on Zelda, but around about when we finished Twinsanity, probably early 2005, maybe 4 or 5 months after we finished it, the producers at Universal got in touch with us and asked us if we would get on the Vivendi Universal forums and in order to generate a bit more buzz about the game, release some cut content, release some
This is where it all
secrets.
started.
This is where it all started.
The legends of the cut content.
Yeah, the Legends of SpaceCat. So I was, at that time, I must have been playing Ocarina of Time, or maybe on the GameCube, maybe there was a release of it then. And I came across these gossip stones, and they'd always give you, like, saying, here's a rumour about something, you know, that you don't know. So I used that to do the SpaceCat, that kind of idea of giving behind-the-scenes gossip on the game, the SpaceCat forum. So that's how a lot of the Crash Twinsanity behind-the-scenes stuff initially started to get out into the public. And Universal approved it, and they basically asked us to do it. So that came about from the.
That's where all the rumours began.
That's right, the true rumours.
That's how we end up making videos today, because
true.
people still remember all the stuff you said 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I recognise this piece, Keith. What's this all about?
So when the Wii came out, the virtual console, I thought I'd kind of mock up a little kind of example of what it might look like in terms of having all the retro games together, and I kind of created this as a piece of art, and then it became quite popular because it was mistook for an official piece at some point. Then a magazine company, Endgamer, got in touch with me and asked if they could use it as a poster in their magazine, which I approved it, allowed them to use it.
So Keith,
Yeah.
I've got some questions.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go for it.
Where's Dizzy?
Where is Dizzy? These are mostly Japanese games that would have likely appeared on the WiiWare, so
Right.
Dizzy's not here, I'm afraid.
I can't
No
believe
Dizzy.
you abandoned your roots so
I
easily.
forgot all about Dizzy by that point. Sorry, Codemasters.
I've got another question.
Oh wait, there he is.
That's not Dizzy.
There he is, Dizzy the egg.
That's
yeah.
just an egg.
Right. Okay.
I've got another question.
Yep.
What's going on with the white circle in the middle?
White circle. So there's a version of this that has a thwomp in it. I added the thwomp in later. He's obviously not here.
Yeah.
Put it on the screen. Boom. There you go. So I think I left that out. I can't remember, but I took the thwomp out or something because it wasn't working. But yeah.
Did I tell you that back when I was working at Rebellion, some guy I was working with had it as his desktop background, and I saw it and I was like, my mate made that, and he was like, oh wow, I can't believe it.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Another two claims to fame in one video.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, cool. Any other characters you recognise in here?
I recognise most of them.
Cool.
Dynamite Ducks,
Dynamite
one of my
Ducks.
favourites.
There they are, yeah.
Just everywhere I look, those memories come flooding back.
Cool. It's good, yeah. But yeah, take a look. I'll put it on the screen, the full versions.
So Keith, I believe it was at this point that you went off by yourself.
Yeah.
And started living your dreams to make a game from scratch.
Yeah,
Tell us what happened.
Yeah, sure. So off the back of that poster that I did, the magazine Endgamer, I was working on an idea for a DS game at the time. This was before DSiWare was a thing, so it was originally planned as a full release DS game. But I was just kind of starting out in terms of setting up on my own, so I had no real working stream set up. But I pitched this idea for a developer diary to show how I go about the process of getting a game created and released. And so these were the starting point of that. Off the back of this magazine article, then I got in touch with a programmer who worked with quite a few of the Crash Twinsanity devs when they left Traveller's Tales Oxford, and he was intrigued by these developer diaries and came on board to help create the actual game, which we did release.
And it actually got released.
DSi, called Go Go Coca-Cola, and we can see a little short clip of it here. So we got it there, very simple arcadey style game for the DS, for the DSiWare. Then a few years later, created a 3DS port of it, 3DS version of it for the Nintendo 3DS, so a sequel for it. And then a few years after that, I actually managed to get a physical version of the game out there, so we got that a couple of years later. So
It's through Limited Run Games, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I got in touch with them because I had no real way of preserving the game, because the e-shops were closing down, so it would be lost. So I got in touch with Limited Run. I said, look guys, I've got this product here, it'd be nice to somehow preserve it. Sent them an email, didn't expect to hear anything back. 12 minutes later they get back to me and they say, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I was really thankful for them that
Good
I've actually
lads.
managed to keep it as a physical thing, for it to always exist.
Keith,
So, yeah.
am I right in thinking it was the last ever game to be made on a physical cartridge for the 3DS or the DS?
It's certainly one of the very last. It wasn't the last one manufactured. It may have been the last one released. A couple of digital games came out after it, but in terms of, it's at the very tail end of the dedicated Nintendo handheld games. So yeah, so it's got that as its claim to fame.
I'd say that makes it a bit of a collector's
Yeah,
item.
it does,
Especially as it was limited numbers.
releasing,
Yeah.
So we
Can
go.
I just
right.
interject? I believe you put a certain JMac in the credits
I
under
did.
special thanks.
I did, yeah.
But you misspelled his surname.
on purpose. Yeah, yeah. So John is bitter about this. And
I am, because it means it doesn't show up in my list of credits
that's
on
right, yeah.
Moby Games.
So if you have any versions of the game, the digital on either of them, or the physical copy in the credits, is a special thanks to John McCann and a few other people. But John McCann's name is spelled incorrectly.
Still hurt to this
So
day.
there you go. So it could have been referring to somebody else, not John.
But Keith, what are you up to these days?
So what I'm up to is, I'm working on a few other games projects that I probably can't really talk about just yet, but I do have a few side projects as well that I've been working on. So I put together a little children's book there, Raoul The Sleepy Owl. You got that. This is available in if you're in the UK, it's available in Waterstones, Blackwell's.
Is it?
Yeah.
You haven't told me that.
Yeah, right, okay. Well, it is. And a few other kind of high street bookshops, Foyles, and the rest. So we got that, a little children's book. We'll just have a quick flick through. I'll put it up on screen.
That art has got Keith Webb written all over it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll put some page examples on screen. So we've got that. What else have we got? So like I said, I like the physical products. I like to have something to keep as kind of like a memorabilia. And so a couple of these are games here. The book there. Something else. So is the copy of the book in shops.
Did you put that on the shelf?
No, it actually really is in the shelf. Yeah, really in the shelf. Another thing I'm working on is a series of comic books, and I mentioned the kind of the Tiny Toons, Looney Tunes influence. So, and these would feature Wacko the Hammerhead Bird again. So from the guy from the original,
I remember him.
Original thing. So here he is. So just working with a couple of artists, just to get a kind of range of styles in there based on the kind of Looney Tune-esque stories. Yeah. So very, very simple stories, self-contained stories. So working on those, get them released somehow. Again, be nice to get them as a physical thing. Got the first 6 issues in progress here. So working on those. What else have I got?
So what's this stuff we're seeing now?
So these are little Keshi figures that I'm working on. So these are characters based on the Coca-Cola game, little kind of little rubber figures that I'm working with some guys up in Scotland to create these.
Can I ask what Keshi figures are?
So Keshi figures are little Japanese rubber figures, so you can feel them, quite squishy, or quite cheap toys, all different colours, collectible little figures. So putting them together based on the characters from the Coca-Cola game. So you can see the rabbit enemy Meerkat there. Close up them in, a few others. You've got Coca-Cola there. So again, just working on these as a little side project. Figure out in the future how to release them. But I just want to kind of build up again the physical side of stuff. So you got merchandise, stuff that you can hold, stuff like that.
I think that's going to be increasingly important when AI is making everything digital.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Next we got. Again, on the same thing, a series of trading cards that I'm working on. I'll put those up on screen. You can see them. Charlie, sorry, I got them here. I'll put these up on screen. These cards here are based on an old idea for a game I had in '94 called Woggle Ball. So these characters here are recreations of characters that I would have created back in my younger days. So we have these, like a Top Trump style card game, very simple. I think there's about 432 characters so far, not all of them drawn, but again, just a very simple game. Loads of kind of Japanese-esque characters, and we'll see some of them on screen. And then finally, another card game that I'm working on with more Mega Man-esque style characters here. So we got the cards just here. Riot Gunheads, Hyper World and Justice Fighters card game too. So again,
is this a barcode battler thing?
They are compatible with the barcode battler. And the barcode battler was something that was released in the 90s, very popular in Japan, not very popular at all in the UK or in America. But these are compatible with that. Just a kind of retro niche product. Did try to get the license from Epoch to use the Barcode Battler brand. Unfortunately, that didn't go ahead, so they're still compatible with it. No one would remember it or heard about it, but it's just something that, kind of like a little niche little toy, which could go in retro shops and things like that. So yeah, just another case of getting stuff out there. These are the side projects. I am working on other game-related projects, doing some freelance stuff for various other things, and I do a bit of book publishing related stuff from time to time. But yeah, I mean, it's just a case of branching out. Yeah, branching out into different things. So there you go. So yeah, we'll see what these amount to in the future. Just little kind of getting webs out there, a little network of stuff. So
I can't believe you've forgotten the most important thing you're doing these days.
what is that?
Making Crash Twinsanity videos.
That is true, yes. The most important thing, and actually it's taking up most of our
Far
time.
too much of our
Our
Saturday.
time. But yeah, that is the most important thing. So yeah, but you can see, trace back how each step influenced the next one, and it all kind of comes about, and the kind of the same style, and also the people as well, because obviously we're still in touch from 20 years ago, and a lot of us are, and we do tend to help each other out, and kind of other opportunities come along, we can work together on certain things. So the Crash Twinsanity days were a nice kind of melting pot of ideas, but also friendships that have stayed to this very day. So
I've definitely kept in touch with more people from Traveller's Tales than any other company I worked at.
Yeah. And it was a very unique and fun time. It was certainly the funnest company that I've worked for. I mean, obviously it had a few kind of creative differences at some points, but aside from that, built some lasting friendships and some enemy ships.
I'd say frenemies describes you and me, doesn't it?
Right, yeah. Rivals like the
We've cut out all the bits where we've been shouting at each other because we thought it wasn't appropriate for YouTube.
We'll put them as some you'll have the cuts. You'll have the deleted content of these videos.
In 20 years' time, we'll show you the bits of the videos we cut out.
We couldn't show because we're fighting. But yeah, cool. So that's that. We're going to skip to John's story now, but this will be recorded later, so you might see.
I didn't do my homework. I didn't prepare anything.
But for you guys, you'll just see it in a boom.
What have I got?